ಆತ್ಮೀಯ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳೇ, ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹೆಸರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನಗರದ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಜಮೀನಿದೆ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ತಿಳಿದುಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಆದರೆ ಈ ಜಮೀನಿನ ಸುತ್ತ ಕಾಂಪೌಂಡ್ ವಾಲನ್ನು ನಿರ್ಮಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅದೇ ಥರನಾಗಿ ಈ ಜಮೀನಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯ ಕಟ್ಟಡಗಳನ್ನು ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅವಕಾಶವನ್ನು ಕೊಡಲಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಂತೆಯೇ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜಮೀನಿಗೆ ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಅತಿಕ್ರಮವಾಗಿ ಪ್ರವೇಶ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಅವರನ್ನು ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಎದ್ದೇಳಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜಮೀನಿನ ಮಾಲಕತ್ವವನ್ನು ಆನಂದಿಸ್ತೀರಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜಮೀನಿಗೆ ಸೂಕ್ತವಾದ ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಇಲ್ಲದ ಕಾರಣ ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜಮೀನಿನ ಮಾಲಕತ್ವವನ್ನು ಆನಂದಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅದೇ ಥರನಾಗಿ ಸಂವಿಧಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಹಕ್ಕುಗಳನ್ನು ನೀಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ಹಕ್ಕುಗಳಿಗೆ ಸೂಕ್ತವಾದಂಥ ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಇಲ್ಲದ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಅವುಗಳನ್ನು ಆನಂದಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. A very good morning to all. Dear children, in today's class we are going to discuss about right to constitutional remedies. Okay, right to constitutional remedy comes under Article 32 and it's a fundamental right of Indians. Okay, so right to constitutional remedy is a protector of fundamental rights. Okay, it protects our fundamental rights. Hence, this right has been called as the heart and the soul of our constitution. According to this right, any person can approach Supreme Court whenever his fundamental rights are violated. He can approach the Supreme Court and he can get the proper judgment. Okay, he can get proper justice. Right, to protect our fundamental rights, Supreme Court, okay, or sometimes high courts can issue writs. Writ means written order. Okay, they can issue 5 types of writs. So now we are going to study about those 5 types of writs. First one is habeas corpus. What is habeas corpus? Habeas corpus means nothing than the writ which is issued to produce a person within a specified time. Okay, suppose if a person is under imprisonment and that imprisonment is illegal, that person can approach the court for habeas corpus. Okay, so if he got the habeas corpus, he will release it from jail. So I hope you understood. Okay, if you are not sure about habeas corpus ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ, habeas corpus ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಒಂದು ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಥವಾ ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್ನಿಂದ ನೀಡಲಾಗುವಂಥ ರಿಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ ಒಂದು ಆದೇಶ. ಏನು ಆದೇಶ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ, ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ಹಾಜರುಪಡಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನೀಡುವಂಥ ಆದೇಶ. ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ಅಕ್ರಮವಾಗಿ ಬಂಧನದಲ್ಲಿರಿಸಿದರೆ ಅವನನ್ನು ಆ ಬಂಧನದಿಂದ ಬಿಡಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇರುವಂಥ ಆದೇಶ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಅ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ರದುಲ್ ಶಾ ಇನ್ ಬಿಹಾರ್ ವಾಸ್ ಇಂಪ್ರಿಸನ್ಡ್ 14 years in jail. Okay, 14 years. After 14 years also, the state government of Bihar didn't release Radul Shah. Okay, hence his friends approached Supreme Court and they got an order called habeas corpus and Radul Shah was released. Okay, so this is about habeas corpus. The second writ we are going to discuss about is mandamus. What is mandamus? Mandamus is a command. Mandamus means it's a command to perform public duty. Okay, so ಯಾವುದೇ ಇಲಾಖೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವುದೇ ಸರ್ಕಾರಿ ನೌಕರನಿಗೆ ಅವನ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನು ಸೂಕ್ತ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡುವಂತೇಳಿ ನಿರ್ದೇಶನ ಕೊಡುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಮ್ಯಾಂಡಮಸ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಕರಿತೇವೆ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಇನ್ ಗುಜರಾತ್, ಓಕೆ, in Gujarat there was a famous hotel called Hotel Lotus. Okay, before construction of that hotel they need economic support, hence they sought help of Gujarat State Financial Corporation. Gujarat State Financial Corporation is a public department which duty is to provide economic help for industries or else construction. Okay, so they did an agreement to provide money, but after some time what happened, they didn't give any kind of money to Lotus Hotel. Hence, the owners of Lotus Hotel approached the court and got an order and got a writ called mandamus. In that order, court give them directions to perform their public duty. Okay, what is your public duty? What is what is the public duty of Gujarat State Financial Corporation? To provide economic help. So they must provide economic help. Okay, so this is mandamus. The next one is prohibition. What is prohibition writ? Prohibition writ means preventing illegal judgments of subordinate courts. Okay, suppose a case is discussing in a district court. ಒಂದು ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಕೋರ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟ ವ್ಯಾಜ್ಯ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ತಿಳಿದುಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಓಕೆ, ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಕೋರ್ಟ್. ಬಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್, the district what happens here is the district court is very shortly they are going to announce the judgment. Very shortly they are going to announce the judgment, but you know that the judgment is not legal, the judgment is illegal, or the judgment is against natural laws. Hence you can approach the Supreme Court or High Court to give a writ called prohibition. So prohibition, if you get the prohibition writ, the district courts cannot announce its judgment. Okay, so this kind of writ is called as prohibition. The next kind of writ is called as certiorari. What is certiorari? Certiorari means it's an order to lower court to submit judgment records. Okay, again in a court some judgment has been given, okay, and you know that the judgment is not legal and it is not according to natural law. So you can ask the copies of judgment and copies of records to verify. So that is called as certiorari. Okay, so Supreme Court or High Court will examine or will scrutinize the judgment given by the lower courts. Okay, that writ is called as certiorari. Okay, here certiorari means nothing other than ಚೆಕ್ಕಿಂಗ್, ಒಂದು ಸಲ ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ವೆರಿಫೈ ಮಾಡೋದು, ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಅವರು ಏನು ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ನ್ಯಾಯವನ್ನು ಘೋಷಣೆ ಮಾಡಿದಾರಾ, ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ನ್ಯಾಯವನ್ನು ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡಿದಾರಾ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಪರಿಶೀಲನೆ ಮಾಡುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಸರ್ಶಿಯಾರಿ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ we are going to discuss about is quo warranto. What is quo warranto? Quo warrant means directing a person to occupy the right public office. Okay, so directing the person to occupy the right public office. For example, in your school, if a boy who didn't wrote entrance exam and attending the class, okay, so he didn't wrote any entrance exam. At that time, if you bring that if you bring that incident to your headmaster's concerns, he will give you proper guidance, he will rectify him from the school. Same thing happens here in quo warranto means directing a person to occupy the right public office means if a person who is not at all qualified and he has become the head of that post, or he was appointed as a teacher, or he was appointed as the director, or he was appointed as a chancellor, anybody, but he is not at all qualified. Qualified persons are there, but also a person is illegally appointed to a post. Okay, in this case court will issue quo warranto issue and they will give directions to that person to occupy the place. Okay, so they will give direction to occupy the right public office, okay, to a right person. ಇವನು ಒಬ್ಬ ಸರಿಯಾದ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ, ಅರ್ಹನಾದ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಆ ಪೋಸ್ಟಿಗೆ ಇದ್ದಾನಂದರೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಆ ಸ್ಥಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಆ ಹುದ್ದೆಯನ್ನು ನಿರ್ವಹಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆದೇಶ ಕೊಡುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೋ ವಾರಂಟೋ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಸೊ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ಇನ್ ಟುಡೇಸ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ವಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ಡ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ right to constitutional remedies, which means giving protection to our fundamental rights. This right is called as heart and soul of the constitution. Okay, so any person who is facing violation of his fundamental right can approach Supreme Court, okay, for his fundamental rights in this right, according to this right, and to protect our fundamental right, Supreme Court or High Court can issue 5 types of writ, and they are habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, and quo warranto. I hope all of you understood this concept very well. Children's, still now we have discussed about fundamental rights of Indian Constitution from Article 12 to Article 35. Right now we are moving a step forward towards Article 36 to Article 51, and they are called as directive principles of state policy. Okay, so what is directive principles of state policy? Directive principles of state policy means none other than directions provided by Indian Constitution. Directions means margadarshana, nirdeshana. Okay, see, this is the right path, you have to go from this path. Okay, so these are the directions provided by Indian Constitution. There are 14 directions provided by Indian Constitutions for the various states of India. Let's see them one by one. First directive principle of state policy is to provide adequate means of livelihood. Okay, adequate means enough, means roads or else ways of livelihood, earning. The state government must provide enough ways of learning livelihood for their people. Why? To achieve social and economic justice. Okay, so they must provide ample opportunity to their people to earn their livelihood, to carry their life forward. Okay, the next directive principle of state policy is to prevent community wealth and resources. State government should prevent the community resources, community wealth. ಓಕೆ, ಸಾರ್ವಜನಿಕರಿಗೆ ಸೇರಿದಂಥ ಆಸ್ತಿಪಾಸ್ತಿಗಳನ್ನು, ಸಂಪನ್ಮೂಲಗಳನ್ನು ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಬ್ಬನ ಕೈಗೆ ಪಾಲಾಗದ ಹಾಗೆ, ಒಬ್ಬನೇ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗೆ ಸೇರದ ಹಾಗೆ ಅಥವಾ ಕೆಲವೇ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳ ಹತ್ರ ಮಾತ್ರ ಉಳಿದುಕೊಳ್ಳದ ಹಾಗೆ ನೋಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯ. ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್. Okay, equal distribution of community wealth and resources. The next one is to pay equal pay for equal work. Okay, here they are giving stress upon gender equality. You understood? So any work is done by any person and he must get the equal wage. He may be man or he may be women. Okay. Next one is to provide public assistance for old, sick, weak, etc. To provide public assistance, to provide instructions, to provide help to whom? To the weaker section of the society. They are old people. Okay, for example, in Karnataka for old peoples we are providing Sandhya Suraksha. That is it means we are following directive principle of state policy. The sick person, for sick person we have to provide health care facility, or the weaker section of the society we have to provide so many facility, and it is the duty of a government. The next policy of state, the next principle of state policy is to implement uniform civil code. What is uniform civil code? Dear students, in India there are so many religions. Okay, so many religions are there. Religion A, religion B, religion C, religion D. Okay, and every religion is having their own laws, kanun. Okay, here our directive principles of state policy says that uniform civil code. Okay, for everybody there must be a equal law. Okay, all religions are treated equally. That is called as civil uniform civil code. Okay, the next directive principles of state policy is development of health and school facility. Okay, so every state must give very much importance towards the health and schools facility. Okay, next one is, and all the states are providing enough facilities towards health and school facility. Okay, the next one is to protect historical places. Okay, every state is having ample of historical places, historical monuments, historical records, and it is the government of it is the duty of a government, it is the duty of state government to protect them. Okay, right. So this one is the directive principle of state policy, to protect the historical places, because it tells about our history, it gives about lot of information of our past. That's why we have to protect our historical places, and it's your duty also to protect the historical places and monuments. Whenever you are visiting there, you should not spoil them by craving your names on the stones, okay, or doing some mischievous work, etc. Next one is protect international peace. ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಗ್ಲೋಬ್ ಜಾಗತಿಕ ಶಾಂತಿಯನ್ನು ಕಾಪಾಡುವುದು ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಕೆಲಸ. ಓಕೆ, ಎವ್ರಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿಹೇವ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ಸಚ್ ಅ ವೇ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಪೀಸ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ಡ್. The next one is encourage rural and cottage industry. Okay, rural and cottage industries must be encouraged by the state government. Why? Because 90% of people in India, they depends upon unorganized sector. Okay, they becomes they are dependent upon unorganized sector, means they are doing small works, small scale works, which is not recognized by any kinds of institution. Okay, so rural work, rural and cottage industries comes under this sector, and government should promote them by providing opportunities, by providing economic facilities. Why? Because they provide job opportunities. They will help to poor person to came out from his condition and lead a better life.
Well, the next principle is to develop agriculture and animal husbandry. It is an important directive principle of state policy. All states of India providing ample opportunities for agricultural sector and animal husbandry in the forms of loans, subsidies, etc. The next principle is to ensure the prohibition of liquor. Our constitution urges to prohibit liquor from state as it is injurious to health. Last one is to develop scientific farming. Encouraging scientific methods in agriculture is the duty of a state. Thus, we have studied all the directive principles of states successfully. Here, one thing I want to mention is directive principles of states are not compulsory. It is just left to the state government whether to follow it or not. I hope all of you understood the lesson concepts clearly. If you have any doubts, please text me. A big thanks for all. Tata.